Hi, this is Nick Hamilton, and this is Motorsport Radio.
This is Motorsport Radio.
Hello and welcome to Touring Car Talk here on Motorsport Radio. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Lester, and on this show, we'll be reviewing everything touring cars, basically, and I do mean almost everything touring cars. Of course, BTCC happened at Oulton Park. We'll be talking about that and dipping our toe into looking at what happened in the recent Spa round in TCR Europe and looking ahead to other touring car series in the world as well, like WTCR, for example. So yes, my name is Lester. Thank you very much for tuning in to us once again. And our TCR guru, Phil Kinch, rejoins us on the show. Hello, Phil. Good evening.
Hello, sir. How are we doing?
Fantastically well. Yes, Oulton Park threw up a whole load of surprises, not the least of which was a surprise re-entrant in the form of Daniel Lloyd.
Yes, it's a good start. So there was a bit of news between, obviously, Thruxton and Oulton Park, with James Nash deciding to step down from his duties at BTCC and All in Racing, and Daniel Lloyd, the current TCR UK Championship leader, being taken on by the team to compete at least at Oulton Park, which he's done, and also at Croft, that I'm aware of so far as well. So yes, Dan made his return to the series. I don't believe he's yet had a full season in BTCC, but every time he takes part, he normally does quite well. I think you could say he had a sort of quite a decent weekend at Oulton. He had a difficult qualifying. Was down in the mid-20s, I believe, as far as his qualifying pace was concerned, but made his way up through the field. Race 2, both he and Chris Smiley, who's actually been quite a revelation in the team this year, managed to get to, let's just have a quick check of the stats. Yes, so Dan Lloyd in race 2 finished 17th, Chris Smiley finished 18th. However, both cars were taken out, unfortunately, during a start line mid-pack crash for race 3. It was a bit disappointing, actually, because the guys are both looking as though they could make some hay from the midfield and definitely score some good points. So the good news is both the BTC and All-ins will be repaired and up and running, and all in good shape again for Croft next weekend. And Dan is looking forward to racing at his home circuit in the series and trying to see if he can have a better time. He was carrying an extra 45 kilos of ballast in the car just to sort of help sort of realise why he was having a bit of a difficult time. Any guest driver that comes into the BTCC when there's been a driver change in a team normally starts off with 45 kilos and then sheds that weight as they carry on throughout the day. So he will be turning up at Croft ballast free because he's not inside the top 10 of the championship, and a lot of people expecting good things.
Yeah, he certainly is a fantastic all-rounder, having lots of experience, as you say, in not only just TCR, of which I think he helped set the balance of performance in TCR UK, I think.
That's right, yeah. He made his debut in TCR International last year with Craft Bamboo. I think he did at least half the season, if memory serves. He was part of the balance of performance test, one of the official drivers, along with Gianni Morbidelli back in February in Spain. And then, like I say, he's then managed to sign up late deal to do TCR UK with West Coast Racing, as well as doing the British Touring Car Championship. So he becomes the only driver now currently to be doing a dual campaign after Aidan Moffat's attempt at TCR UK and BTCC. Dan is now doing a dual campaign for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and don't worry, on this show, on Motorsport Radio, we do not discriminate. When we talk about touring cars, we literally do talk about touring cars. So if it's got a tin top and it's good, we will talk about it. So yeah, we literally, with Phil Kinch being the literal TCR guru and a Motorsport Radio being totally non-discriminatory, we will talk about TCR UK. I think I mentioned it once, but I got away with it.
So we were just mentioning TCR UK as well as British touring cars. I hear the
I can hear Facebook groups exploding with rage.
Can you?
Already.
I can hear air raid sirens, but anyway.
Exactly. So yeah, it's something that you won't find on ITV. But moving on from that, because there was other news as well, and we will get more into the racing from Oulton Park, but it was confirmed at the weekend that we will have a first time in many years a change to the touring car calendar in 2019, and Rockingham, as expected, is dropped.
Yes, so there was some rumours in the build-up to Oulton Park this weekend, just gone, that Rockingham potentially was going to go. That was confirmed today. The 2019 calendar's been released, and it's got a bit of a change to it. So to sort of clear up everything, first of all, there'll be 2 visits to Thruxton next year instead of 1. And there's a bit of a change in format on the calendar itself in general. So the normal sort of first 3 tracks stay as they are, so you're going to be going to Brands Hatch Indy, Donington National, and then off to Thruxton in May as normal. Then Croft and Oulton Park swap for next year, so we'll be going to Croft for the 4th weekend of racing for a change, and then Oulton Park will be the last weekend of racing before the summer break. After the summer break is done, then you have Snetterton, which is the traditional opening weekend afterwards. Then we're off to Thruxton again, so that'll be the second weekend of racing there. Then to Knockhill, and then finally the traditional run-in with Silverstone on the national circuit, and then Brands Hatch back in October actually this time. So this year the series finishes in late September. Next year it's back to finishing in early October, I believe on the 13th, 14th of October. So there is a change. Rockingham unfortunately has gone. There's been a lot of talk about what's happening to the circuit. I know there was a lot of I think you could say controversy last year about grandstands conditions and a lot of unhappy fans.
Well, it was an outrage, wasn't it? If you don't know, if you're not keeping abreast of the sinking circuit, but yeah, a lot of the circuit has been condemned, which obviously isn't helpful if you're a major championship like the BTCC, trying to keep your fan base in certain parts of the country, and with almost all of the grandstand, I'm going to say, or a growing section of that one bit of grandstand that they have left still being closed down, it kind of leaves nowhere for the fans to go, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And the idea of Rockingham, one of the reasons it was popular, I've obviously, as yourself, we've seen sort of differing views as to people's idea of Rockingham. There were quite a few people that are happy to see it go. There's quite a few people that are sad to see it go. One of the good things about Rockingham was it was a natural speed bowl because of the whole oval situation of it being built originally to host the Indy cars back in the early 2000s. I've been there a couple of times myself. I must admit, I think the best view was on top of the garages, to be honest, to sort of see almost all of the circuit with the cars racing. But as you know, last year there were the issues with the grandstands. There is talk that it's potentially being sold off for redevelopment. Again, nothing officially confirmed. But with the situation where BTCC likes to be able to confirm its calendars early, they've gone with the choice of having a second round at Thruxton. To be honest, there's benefits to this because Dunlop especially put a lot of work into their hard tyre that they use specifically for the Thruxton weekend.
It's their big test weekend, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's basically their big test of that tyre. So in some respects, whilst they're doubling up on the tyre allocation for that, because there's 2 weekends of racing, it means their hard tyres are actually getting a lot more mileage and a lot more development as well. On the other side of that, any teams that have difficulty with their first weekend, obviously in May, they get a second chance when they go back in August. So it means that they've got to be able, a chance to be able to improve setups and, sort out any problems in cars, etc. And with it being the fastest circuit on the calendar as well, if you've got a car that does suffer on the grid, with a lack of speed, or it doesn't have, a top end speed advantage like some of the cars do, then again, it's going to be a difficult one. But ideally, it means we get 2 lots of racing at Thruxton, which isn't a bad thing. So there are pros, there are cons, and there's been a lot on social media, as you can imagine, about those that are happy, those that are unhappy. So it's always the way.
Yes, and we welcome various comments, whether good or bad or anything else. And yeah, don't be at all afraid to contribute your comments to us. If you want to add them to the wherever you're listening or watching to this in the comments box, or you can just send us a tweet at MSport Radio on the old Twitter, Facebook. It's Motorsport Radio. So yeah, we'd certainly like to read your feedback. If nothing else, like you said, yes, there was a few, surprisingly from my point of view, a few comments about how people like Louise Goodman, for example, she commented on the lack of Rockingham, and also Alan Hyde as well, saying that they certainly won't miss the place, which amongst other people who've also contributed comments as well, which to my mind translates to what a lot of people were thinking anyway, and that is really just not very good.
Again,
experience.
Rockinham's had its lovers and its haters. I'll be honest, we've had some really good racing. It's normally traditionally been the case that when the series has got to Rockingham and then you've had Silverstone and Brands following afterwards, Rockingham's normally set up the championship for a complete topsy-turvy run-in for the last 3 weekends. Guys have gone in leading the championships as they've entered the Rockingham weekend, and then coming out of it, they've lost points or something's happened, and championships have turned completely on their heads and closed up whatsoever. The BTCC is a close championship anyway, we know that, but Rockingham was normally the one weekend that was definitive in how that would play out. So again, there are people that are going to miss it, people that won't miss it. Everyone has their views, as they do, and they're sharing them quite happily, as you'd expect.
Yes.
It's for one, I will miss Rockingham. I enjoyed my few visits there, but at the same time, it's not a bad thing seeing Thruxton twice.
There was a lot of I was reading a lot of comments online, as I'm sure you were as well, Phil, about other places, and I'm sure we all as fans have our favourite circuits where we want things to go. For example, a lot of people maybe wanted touring cars to go back to Ireland, for example, and that's probably a good shout actually, and maybe other places. So although there was no new circuits added to the calendar, one maintained. I mean, the calendar was maintained in terms of number of races, and maybe Thruxton is on balance maybe a good second visit.
I don't see it as a bad thing as a second visit. Like I say, it's always a popular one. Fastest track on the circuit. You normally get quite a bit of good racing there. Unfortunately, and I'll point it out, there's been a couple of, I'm not going to say boring races, but quiet races have happened in recent years as the cars have gotten so close and are being developed as competitively as the field is. Myself, I'll be honest, as a second venue, I was sort of hoping for Silverstone Grand Prix. I miss the days of I miss the days of the old Super Tourers flying around the Grand Prix circuit as part of the support bill for Formula One. He says, showing his age. On the other hand, I'm also personally hopeful. I know there is the Lake Torrent development in Ireland where the new circuit's being built, and that's being built to an FIA Grade 2
That's Northern Ireland, isn't it?
Northern Ireland, yeah. So with that in mind, I know there's a lot of interest to try and get bike racing there, but there's also an FIA Grade 2 licensed circuit can also have touring car racing as well. So there's always the possibility, if it's up to a high standard, that potentially, I'm not going to say definitely, but it's always possible that we could see touring car racing there from the BTCC in the near future. But in the meantime, nothing wrong with Thruxton. It maintains the integrity of the championship. It's a circuit the teams know well, and there's been a lot of hard work and improvement at the circuit recently. New pit buildings being built up, a lot of work to try and make Church Corner as safe as possible, considering recent times when there's been a lot of big accidents there. So I would say some reward on their part for the hard work they've done as well.
Yeah, exactly, and we'll just wait and see about any further things, maybe in 2020, I suppose. But not a bad replacement, I would say, for the calendar for 2019. And it is nice to see the calendar shaking up a little bit as well.
Yes,
as well, because that's going to the same places at the same time almost every single year for best part of like 10 years or something. But there again, why change a format if it's working so well, like the BTCC? So anyway, right. So moving on, because I want to get to the racing shortly, but there was other news as well, because you may have heard that Alan Gow mentioned recently that he's considering or thinking of, or it's maybe a possibility that in the future, maybe next year, it might be good to drop the number of entries down to 26. Now, why he might have said that, you could read into your own conclusions as to why. Maybe some people might argue that, well, there was probably going to be a few teams dropping out anyway, and for him to come out and say that might have sort of saved face. But what do you think, Phil?
My personal thoughts are that I remember, I'll be honest, this reminded me of a conversation I had with Mr. Marr on one of the live Monday night shows a little while back, where we were discussing the fact of having 32 cars on track at the same time, how busy it gets, how competitive the racing gets, and often how many times you can have guys, with cars that have crashes or that take damage, and it causes problems trying to get to the next meeting because of the limited budgets they're on. I personally think this is a good move, to be honest, to shrink the field a bit. There's nothing wrong with 32 cars straight away. That's fine. There's a lot of cars on the road. It's good to see the championship with such a healthy amount of entries. However, to sit there and change it down to 26 entries isn't a bad thing either, because you're still getting a full field. That's a bigger field than currently Formula One has, for example. 26 drivers, it just means with the top 15 currently scoring points, you've got less than half the field missing out, whereas currently more than half miss out on scoring points as hard as they fight.
Nobody wants to finish a race in 30th, do they? That's
exactly,
depressing.
No.
But yeah, so possibly, did he actually say it would definitely be the case, or it was just an idea?
So the thing that can come out of it is something that they're looking forward to in the future to putting in place. Again, there are quite a few options out there for teams. In the nicest way possible, it's very difficult for teams, for drivers to get sponsorship in place for BTCC. It's very competitive. It is very, it's a hard place to get into. If you can get in on talent, great. If you're able to get in on sponsorship and talent, even better. It's a lot of money to run one car in the season, something I've had discussions with people over the past few years. It's how much, from what I've seen, you're talking almost $500,000 in some cases to run a 2-car team, spares, travel, etc.
I could buy a TCR team for that.
You could buy a TCR car. You could buy several TCR cars for that, to be honest. But no, it's a very expensive series to get into. Costs have gone up, even though they've done everything possible to make sure that everything is equal, that you've got control parts and everything. At the same time, you're there and on basic talent. You're there on budget. If you get in, you are one of the best drivers in the series. You're one of the best drivers in the country. So it's very hard for. Moving it down to 26 entries, it just means it's going to be even more difficult for people to get in. And basically, if you're able to, it's great. If not, there are other options out there. I'm not just going to say there are TCR options out there. There are other options for teams to go elsewhere. You've got Mini Challenge, you've got Clio Cup, you've got Porsche Carrera. There are other, support packages. The Toka package has plenty of spaces. So again, if it does come to the point we see teams having to drop out of BTCC and the 26 car entry limit is brought in, there are other places they can go that are just as competitive and potentially cheaper to compete on as well.
Suppose it can. It's a testament to the fact it is still the best and one of the world's greatest touring car championships,
definitely,
if not the actual best. That it can still be sustainable with over 30 cars running at that sort of budget, because there's probably only DTM and Formula One and a few of the GM like world championships at that level, and for British touring cars to do it so sustainably over so many years, so consistently, and still grow the championship in all areas almost. It's just a testament to Toka.
It is, definitely. And like I say, DTM has 18 cars, I believe. Other series don't have that same number. So 32 cars is great. 26, even then, is still brilliant.
Exactly. And so we're talking about the actual racing at the weekend, and it was if you didn't know, it was a fantastic pole position in qualifying, brand new pole position for Matt Simpson. Incredible.
Yeah. It's brilliant to watch as well. So Matt he found the sweet spot in his car, I think it's safe to say. Something that Oulton Park rewards is cars that don't have ballast in normally. And Matt was just the class of the field. In second practice, he absolutely trounced everyone. He went fastest in second practice. He was fastest by around about 0.2 of a second in qualifying as well. And every time he went out of the car, he just kept setting better laps. So it was obvious, by the end of the session, he'd taken pole position. He was absolutely elated, which was great. great to see. And able to do the number one finger, which I think started with Sebastian Vettel several years ago. So yeah, it was brilliant to see Matt take his first pole position, and then he converted that into a race win, which is even better. Yeah, lights to flag. He controlled everything in the race itself. He didn't make a mistake. I'll be honest, it was brilliant to see. It's always good to see a brand new race winner in the series because, as we said already, it's very competitive. It's difficult to get to the top. Matt's in his third season, for a bit of reference. So his first season he was in the Honda as part of Speedworks. Last year, in his second season, he was part of the Team Dynamics Honda setup as well. This year he's with Eurotech, and to be honest, again, I still say the dark horses for the championship. He's gelled. Yeah, Eurotech. Yeah, he's with Jack Goff and Brett Smith. He's gelled with the team really well. He's had some really good top 10 results already. So it was obvious there's something there in the wings. And like I say, last weekend he just proved he's very capable. I'll be honest, absolute heartbreak afterwards to find out that there had been a problem with the car itself, I believe, with the engine that kept him out for the rest of the day. But if it was myself, if I was in Matt's shoes, and as he happily talked to Paul O'Neill about, he's got his first win. It doesn't. The feeling doesn't get better than that. So he can take that away. And obviously, when they go to Croft next weekend, he'll be able to build on that momentum. And I dare say we're going to see more top 10 finishes from him. He's doing really well, and it's great to see.
It certainly is, and I think it's definitely had that feel of him being universally liked, I would say, by almost everybody. I don't know any Matt Simpson haters, and I think generally you struggle to find any if you even care to look. But yeah, well done, fantastic result, Matt, converting, not only getting your first pole in BTCC as well, ultra competitive right now. Right now is the new golden era. Yes, Super Tour and everything, but this era is, 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years time. You're going to be talking about this era as well as the Super Tourers. So yeah, well done to you, Matt, for converting the pole into a fantastic win in race number one. So race number two then, highlights for you, Phil.
So for me, I'll be honest, I'm a bit of a Colin Turkington fan when it comes to British touring cars. So any time I see him win is really great, and it was clearly obvious with Colin taking the win in race two. He made his way forward. To be honest, race two actually had a bit of a feel that the I want to say the older guns. We've talked about the young guns, a new talent sort of leading the way this year. The old guard. Yes, we'll go with that. So obviously Colin Turkington took his first win of the season, which was great to see, and it was very emotional. It meant a lot to him, the family, and to the team as well, to see him back on the top step. Matt Neal took second place in a new Honda, which was great, and then Tom Chilton backed that up by completing the podium in the Motorbase Ford, and that's something, last weekend he was really on top form in the new RS Focus. So it was great to see those three on the podium leading the way. Andrew Jordan came home in fourth as well. So the old guard sort of fought back in race two. Again, Oulton is difficult to overtake on, that's widely acknowledged, but the fact that these guys are able to make their passes, make their way to the front, and the fact it's a rear-wheel drive circuit as well, so it's not too much of a surprise seeing Jordan and Turkington there. But for Colin, it was very obvious it was definitely a big thing to be able to be back on the top step so far this season, and hopefully to be able to sort of see that happen more often.
Absolutely, yes, and something that you mentioned as well just then, Phil, in that it's the track anyway favours, I would say, a rear-wheel drive, but the race three, it seemed to be a BMW domination. Yeah. What was the reason exactly for that? Is there something else going on there? Because for them to just was it just a coincidence that they were all 1, 2, and 3 in that race?
No, I'd like to say it is, but let's be honest. We've got three top drivers in the BMW camp. You've got Turkington and Rob Collard as in Team BMW itself. You've got Andrew Jordan, he was in his second year of rear-wheel drive in the Team BMW Persec, and he's gotten used to the car. And Andrew has been the form guy along with Colin as well. So to be able to see Rob Collard take his first win of the year, it's been too long since we've seen Rob on the top step. He's a popular driver in this series. whilst he doesn't qualify well, he makes up for it in the races. He's definitely done this. He qualified 12th for race 1. He made his way through the pack, and like I say, race 3, he was able to take the win in front of Andrew Jordan. Took another podium as he did in race 1, and then with Colin backing it up on the podium, completing a complete lockout. So, as I say, Oulton Park, Croft, we know are recognised rear-wheel drive favoured circuits.
Yeah,
so
but
it's
by
not
10
surprising
seconds, I mean,
it was. I'm not going to say it's a walk in the park, because with Rob, you never know. He's had such bad luck recently. I think the other thing to take from it is, as far as obviously not just the BMWs in taking the top 3, you also had the championship protagonists who came to Oulton Park heavy on weight because of their success recently at Thruxton, eventually making their way up in the order. So Tom Ingram, Jack Goff, Adam Morgan, these 3 are looking to be some of the top guys to be fighting for the championship. Tom Ingram was leading the championship coming into Thruxton. Adam Morgan was leading the championship coming into Oulton Park. Jack Goff has been winning races and has been in the mix, taking pole positions. So it's really good to have seen them make their way up. And then as we've left Oulton Park, Colin Turkington is leading the championship as well. So it's now a true mix, I think, of the old guard coming back, the new guards fighting their way through, and it's really looking fantastic as we head to Croft next weekend. Exactly.
Yeah, we'll come on to previewing Croft in just a second. I was at where was I at the weekend? I was at Silverstone for British GT, and it was a good day, I would say, for the Collard family, because his son Jordan Collard took his first win in, I think, of the season in the mini challenge as well, and I was there and saw that feat. So well done, all the Collards, I suppose.
Exactly. Yes.
But yeah, well done to them. Other seem. I'm sort of hesitant to even keep mentioning this now, but Subaru.
Yes.
And Plato.
So,
is he? Can we? Should I? I mean, I don't. I'm going to get attacked, I suppose, on various groups anyway. But is
I know where you go with this.
Is it time for him to stop now?
Oh no, never. Jason's been doing this since 1997. Let's not be ridiculous, and he even had a couple of years break in the mid 2000s. No. Let's be honest. Last year, the guys at Subaru had a different engine, so they turned up. Let's be completely level. Ash Sutton won the championship last year in the Subaru. That's no fluke. And Ash's talent, the car, the engine, the package worked really well, and he was able to fight, ironically, from Oulton Park last year onwards and start making points up and getting into the championship mix, and ultimately taking the win at Brands Hatch. So we know the car works. Ash is a proven talent, and to be honest, so is Jason. Jason's a fully proven. He's almost legendary in the series. Let's be completely honest.
He is a legend.
Yes, he's been, like I say, he's been there since 1997. He's been with various works teams, and he's responsible for being part of the whole Subaru project. So we know this is something he wants to see succeed. He took a race win last year, so we know he's still capable of winning races. That's not in doubt. It's the same as saying about Matt Neal. Matt Neal's been there since 1991.
Well, how do you explain him being outperformed convincingly? I mean, in qualifying at Oulton Park, Plato qualified in 29th position. Race 1, he finished in 30th position. Race 2, he made his way up actually into finishing in 20th place. And in the final race, he had a DNF.
I'll be honest, a lot of this is being put down to the change in engine over the winter, so a lot has been made.
But even so, Sutton's still outperforming him.
It is true, and it's a question I've asked as well, and I've spoken to various other fans and followers of the series. Ash Sutton is pulling everything possible out of this car and making it competitive. He's been the BTCC for several years now. He's not been there as long as Jason. Jason's normally able to get into any front-wheel drive car and make it a winner, regardless of what type the car is. Front-wheel drive car, you can guarantee Jason.
Nobody's going to be brilliant forever, is what I'm saying. And I do like Jason Plato. I consider him a total legend. And nothing else, as you say. I'm definitely not of the opinion that I don't like Jason, because I do. I like everything that he's done and won, and certainly he's always given any sort of car or any bad package in the past. He's always, as we've seen, been able to turn it around eventually, and he's always made himself in the championship fight, or been there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
But this year, I think last year might have been the turning point for him anyway, and certainly this year he's...
Again, like I say, a lot of the talk is down to change in engine supplier very late over in the off season. There's been problems from one supplier to another. Again, we're not going to know all the details, because we are the fans, we are the followers, those involved in the series, closely involved, working with the team, etc., know what's going on and why. I agree, it's really bad to see Jason at the back. I think what sort of finished things off, from my point of view, was the fact of we were on board Aidan Moffat as he made his way from the back of the field through the grid in race 3, and he passed Jason. The onboard switched to Jason's car, and I'll be honest, it looked a very easy pass to take place. So there's been questions about the straight line speed of the Subarus. There's been questions about the late change in engine supplier and tuners, etc. The team works hard. BMR don't do this.
There's no question about that.
Yeah, there is no question of commitment whatsoever from Warren Scott and the team. There's no question of commitment from Jason or Ash or even Josh Price, who's there in the third Subaru doing what he can.
Like
we
you
know
said,
he's a proven talent.
Champions. So.
They know what they're doing. It's just a case of hard work, and sometimes you can have this. A car can be brilliant one year, and the next year, the level of competition changes, or something happens to different in the car. Whatever the situation is, something has changed.
Mixing a bit of bad luck as well, perhaps, as well, and just a few bad setups, or you're just not able to get it perfectly correct and stuff. And I can see how it's happened, and personally, I am hoping that he manages to regain his form. The Jason Plato that we all know and love.
Yes.
Fighting his way through the field and fighting for wins and even winning. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen on...
I don't think it's going to be any time soon. I think Croft is going to be damage limitation again, a rear-wheel drive favoured circuit, so the Subarus could pull something out there. I think then there's going to be a lot of head scratching and work during the off season, in the midsummer break, to find out what's going on and how they can try and sort the car out when they get to Snetterton.
Exactly. That's it'd be like I say, certainly good. But obviously, I'm not the only person to ask questions. I'm sure
there's lots of people asking
questions, and Jason himself. And if he is back again for 2019, that'll be good, especially if he's improved. That's providing he's not buggered off to TCR UK. Ooh.
Now, I just want to say, I've
heard things.
Okay? I didn't say that. Okay, that's fine.
I've heard things. That's all I'm saying. Scurrilous rumours, and I'm not saying...
That's those air raid sirens again. I swear.
Hello, the internet has melted. Hello, yes. But no, it was just a cheeky rumour. Nothing I've heard. Other than that he might, given his perceived lack of enjoyment of not, winning, obviously, versus some fledgling championship like TCR UK. Anyway, that aside, yes, I can feel people going, "How dare you?" Right. So
focus, Leicester.
So yeah, next round is Croft Championship standings. Just wanted to touch on that, just in case you weren't aware. It is, as you mentioned, Phil, Colin Turkington leading at the moment on 124 points from Adam Morgan in second, Jack Goff in third, Tom Ingram in fourth place, and Josh Cook in fifth, Matt Neal in sixth place, Andrew Jordan taking up the seventh place spot in the championship standings, followed by Tom Chilton eighth, Rob Collard doing brilliantly in ninth place, and Dan Camish still hanging on there in 10th place in the standings with Senna Proctor following that fantastic round earlier in the season in 11th place. We're not going to go through them all, but certainly going into Croft, it's still quite compact. And what might we expect? What are you expecting anyway, Phil, from Croft?
I'm personally hoping Lady Luck is going to shine on Sam Tordoff. I feel he's had the rotten end of the stick in deciding to come back to the series this year. It's great to see Sam in the Motorbase Focus. He's going really well in both practice and qualifying. He's able to pull out a brilliant performance in the car, or when it's working. And I'll sort of pause there for a moment because he's had the lion's share of bad luck and retirements in the RS Focus. It's really a shame. I'm hoping that, again, with Croft being a good circuit to Sam previously, that it's going to work out that way in the Focus. Again, as we said, it's rear-wheel drive favoured. You've got all the hairpins and sharp, fast corners. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see at least one BMW win coming for the drivers. I'm really hoping, again, it's a set-up circuit, so it's compromises. You've got good fast corners, slow corners, like we said, the two hairpins. So chassis setup is good. Again, that lends itself to teams like Motorbase with the Focus. The Hondas especially have proven quite adaptable, as well as the BMWs being in good shape as well. I can see the Mercedes being up there, to be honest, as well, when they're finding set up and they're on form. Then Aidan Moffat, Adam Morgan, Tim Oliphant, again, he's been quite impressive in his rookie season so far. So yeah, it's going to be a mix. Croft normally throws quite a bit in. A lot of people will also be sort of wary of the big accidents that happened last year during qualifying in the rain. Quite a few drivers suffering some very battered cars and also suffering with some long-term injuries.
Do you think? I don't think that will be in many people's minds though. Once they actually go out on track. I just think it's a case of they'll go out there, have fun, and be competitive and do what they can. I think it's going to be there. Luke Davenport having the big accident that he did, Jeff Smith as well. But at the same time, the series has moved on. They've upped they've done their tests on the cars. They've upped the safety where they can. They've got the crews and teams in the best shape possible to deal with this sort of thing. Should it happen again, and I'm going to knock on wood and pray to whichever deity you choose that it doesn't. I'm looking forward to a good weekend of racing. Croft never disappoints. It's always got good fun, close racing, like I say, because of the type of circuit. It's also good to see how many drivers end up in the field if they get it wrong, coming out of Tower Bend. It's a case of let's see who's disappeared off until they got the long grass and try and see how far they got into it. But yeah, BMW's definitely going to be in the mix. Ash Sutton with the Subaru, hoping he's able to pull something out. The Motorbase Focuses, the Hondas, and the Mercedes, I'm thinking are going to be there. And also, one final thing, as we're talking about Hondas, I'm expecting Eurotech to be in the mix, and also BTC Norlin. As we've said, Dan Loy's not going to be carrying any weight. Chris Smiley's rapid as it is already. So again, expecting a few surprises from my BTC Norlin boys. Do you disagree with the touring car guru / TCR guru, Phil Kinch? If so, let us know. Leave your comments in the comments box below, wherever you're listening or even watching this right now. Incidentally, by the way, you can also listen to this as a podcast as well, Touring Car Talk. Download it from your podcast provider or your podcast app store thing, whatever the kids are doing nowadays with the listening devices.
Yeah, exactly.
Down with all the kids and stuff. Exactly. As I cough up a furball. Yes. It's the anticipation of what's coming next, Phil. TCR Europe. Yes. If there wasn't enough TCR championships all over the planet, not that that's a bad thing, Mr. TCR Guru, but and I should obviously I don't know. I feel the need to sort of like gradually ease people from that transition and the jolt from BTCC into TCR Europe, because it's never done, is it? It's just never done. People do it quietly. They join some touring car teams or touring car Facebook pages, and they quietly join the other ones, hoping that their friends don't find out that their friends are... But you know what, guys? It's okay. You're allowed to like both. There's no rules, all right?
Let me let you into a little secret. I like both.
Well, you do, obviously, because you're the TCR.
Let's go into another very quick secret. I've been watching British touring cars since 1988. a few grey hairs and dust. We'll just brush that off. No, I've been watching British Touring Car since 1988, and I've been watching TCR since it began 4 years ago, and I was watching World Touring Cars and other things in Europe as well. I love my touring car racing, whatever the regulation. So it's fine to watch as many series, different types of regulations as you want.
Exactly. Take it from the TCR guru. Everything is okay. You're allowed to like both. Do not worry about that. So let's talk about TCR Europe, which happened its most recent round at Spa recently. And it's been a fantastic championship thus far, hasn't it, Phil?
Oh, it has. It's been rather entertaining to watch. Not without its controversy, might I add. And that's definitely something. I'm going to take a small moment to be of pride here. That's definitely something that any members, and if any of you are watching, if you're members of the official TCR Talk Facebook group, we've been enjoying, because we're quite lucky in that we've got a lot of drivers and team members that take part in TCR racing around the world. And Saturday and Sunday, for the two races from Spa, definitely sparked some controversy, and the drivers have been really good in the group about talking with the fans and followers in a really good and constructive way. So that's something I'm really happy about. And
that's unusual as well.
That it can be a lot of groups. I'm not going to go naming names because it happens in any group. So a lot of groups you can get quite enraged, I suppose. It can get quite
lively debate.
Lively debate. Yeah, we'll go with lively debate. That's what I'm thinking of.
Police are called and everything. Bar stools thrown.
Riot squads and the whole works. No, you can have some groups around the internet, and I've been in some over the years that have been in gone, where you've got a lot of lively debate and it can get a little bit out of hand. I'm really happy that we've actually had drivers involved with the racing last weekend that have been conversing with their fans and followers in the group that I'm running in a constructive way, and it's been good, decent discussion as well. So to give you a bit of an idea of why this is so in TCR at the moment, there's been a lot of controversy with the balance of performance, which is used to equalise all of the TCR cars that are taking part in series around the world. And one of the big issues has been trying to get this BOP in place for the Hyundais, especially in the various series they're in. Now, when it comes to balance of performance, a simple way to put it is it's there to equalise all the cars, so no one car has an advantage. Unfortunately, in WTCR this year, the World Touring Car Cup, the Hyundais won, I think it's the first 6 races out of 9, I think, just to be on the safe side. So that's quite dominating, to be honest, in TCR series. So balance of performance was brought in to turn down the engine a little bit, to adjust the ride height.
Just like a success penalty in BTCC, really, isn't it? It is,
yeah, exactly. And what's happened is a lot of the Hyundai drivers aren't happy about this. So in Spa, I think it's safe to say the I'm trying to think of the words. I'm forgetting words. The balance of power. There we go. Balance of power. So the balance of performance shifted. And Spa, because of its long straights, fast corners, hairpins, etc., being the type of circuit that it is, favoured the VAG group drivers more. So the Audis, the Volkswagens, and the Cupras. To sort of add to this, the Hondas as well weren't exactly in the same league. They were closest, I think it's safe to say, but the Hyundais were definitely suffering. Definitely a bit of controversy on that, to the point of one Hyundai driver in the series claimed he wasn't going to be returning if things weren't changing for balance of performance.
Who was that?
So it's Dusan Borkovic, one of my favourite drivers, I'm just going to add. Dusan is the tallest driver, I think, in touring car racing. I'm pretty certain he's taller than Matt Neal, if you can believe that.
That's impossible, Phil.
No, it's true. It's true. What we actually need to do, and if there's a way to do this, and I know Matt Neal commentates... We need to get them together, don't we? You do, yeah. Matt Neal commentates on weekends off from BTCC with Martin Haven on the WTCR races. At some point, I don't know who can make it possible, and I will happily try and find a way if it's possible. I'd love to see a picture of Matt Neal stood next to Dusan Borkovic to see which guy's taller. It's that simple.
Just for that visual element of just going, oh yeah, he is quite tall.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah.
I look up to the pair of them. They're both great drivers.
Yes, they are. Yes. So no, Dusan wasn't too happy with his performance and then the way that the balance of performance has been put to the car. The specific comments were made in the fact that the tracks in TCR Europe are different to the tracks in WTCR, and maybe balance of performance hasn't been fairly applied. I think it's sort of the safest way to put it. However, that was on Saturday. He'd had a bit of a difficult race on Sunday. He'd had a more competitive race, and it's more of a case of he was able to enjoy himself. But there's still the question remaining of the Hyundais. I think it's safe to say balance of performance still needs some work to make sure the Hyundais are competitive, not running away and going from there. The other point that sort of came up from this was in the second race where Chris Ricard, who won the second race on the road originally, and that's Dusan's pit car in the picture there. So Chris Ricard won race 2 on the road after an exciting battle with Julien Brichet in the Peugeot 308 TCR. A quick bit of clarification, if you don't know about TCR, not all the cars run 2-litre turbocharged engines. The Peugeot runs a 1.6-litre turbocharged engine, and because again of the long straights and the torquey nature of the engine itself, Brichet was able to challenge and actually make up quite a bit of ground on a lot of the cars, to the point he was fighting, and there's the said Peugeot as we speak, and he was able to fight with Ricard on track. There was a bit of contact, and it's that contact that led to Chris Ricard losing his race 2 win afterwards. This is the point I'm going to say the Facebook group's involved, because Chris was actually able to provide some on-board footage of what happened with the contact, and again,
what, to the Facebook group?
Yeah, he's actually included it in the Facebook group, which again, and we've had comments from other drivers as well. I'm going to name Josh Files and Stefano Camini as two, because there was contact. Those two had a lovely battle in race 1, which sadly ended with a bit of contact that I don't actually think could have been avoided, to be honest, between the two of them. And they also suffered their various issues in race 2 as well. So there was quite a lot going on. Race 1, it's almost sounding pedestrian. It almost was the case in some ways. But Jean-Carl Venet in the Leopard Look Audi Sport RS3 was able to take the win after dominating free practice, dominating qualifying by taking pole position, and going on to the race 1 win with Maxime Potti in the Come To You Racing VW Golf, finishing second, and then championship leader Michael Asconar in the Cupra coming home third. So yeah, a lot has happened in TCR Europe last weekend, if you were following things.
I certainly was. And also as well, one notable driver who was, up until recently, racing in the UK, Reese Barr, also dipped his toe into racing into TCR Europe. Was he racing at Spa as well?
Yeah, so Reese is a full-time entry this year in TCR Europe with Target Competition, which is one of the best teams in Europe, to be honest, when it comes to touring car racing and TCR in general. Reese obviously made the move up from Mini Challenge to TCR. He's had, I think you could say, a learning season so far. Two good drivers and teammates, like I said, as Dusan Borkovic and Chris Ricard, but alongside him, Target know what they're doing with TCR cars. They've got a lot of experience with Hondas previously. As well, so they know what they're up to. So he's in very good hands.
He had a good sort of debut in I think the first round in France.
Yes,
like you said, he's been learning.
He's been learning. He had a bit of bad luck, really. Zandvoort didn't really go his way. He was taken out in a start line incident at Zandvoort. In Spa, he was on the front row for race 2, but unfortunately, again, because of various different sort of BOP issues we've discussed and on-track conditions, he sort of fell back a bit. But he's been firmly in the mix, and he's showing he's definitely got a place there, and he's earning his competition there as well. So really impressed with Reese with what he's doing so far. And especially when you consider he's, the Northern Irish driver being one of 2 local drivers for us Brits, along with with triple TCR champion Josh Files. It doesn't get any better sort of competition than that. So he's doing really well, Reese, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and that's one name to watch, I would say, as well. Reese performing pretty well in previous seasons, like you say, racing in the UK last year in the Mini Challenge. It was.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, Reece Barr, definitely one to watch, and maybe, perhaps even in TCR UK, but perhaps. That's just me. I don't know.
We need to have a drinking game. I can see this coming. How many times can you have a drink each time TCR UK is mentioned? I see this coming.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, literally, everybody who I want to be racing in TCR UK, I'm going to be mentioning it. Maybe he'll be going good in TCR UK. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know. I mentioned Josh Fowles, by the way. I'm just saying.
So he's going to be racing in TCR UK, is it?
No, I haven't said that at all. No, I'm just saying I mentioned
Breaking
Josh Fowles
news.
in general. No, calm yourself. No, Josh is helping out Pyro Motorsport as it is anyway, as well as his full-time campaign in TCR Europe. And like I say, little job, lovely battle between both himself and Stefano Camini in race 1, which was really enjoyable. Unfortunately, he had some electrical issues, and Stefano had some problems in race 2. But seeing the two of them go hammer and tongs in equal machinery was good to see. So again, yeah, really good weekend at Spa, and they've got a bit of a break now before Hungary. I think it's the middle of July. I think is the next 2 rounds for TCR Europe, and one driver's already got a bit of experience as he heads to his home round there, which is Attila Tashi. A quick sort of heads up: he was one of the guest drivers for the WTCR race weekends in Hungary previously. So Attila's got experience of the car and also the circuit, so hopefully he'll be able to have a better weekend than he did last time out.
Fantastic stuff. And to update you, I know you're scratching your heads and thinking, well, who is leading the championship in TCR Europe? Because, of course, you've been far too enthralled with what's happening in TCR UK. TCR.
So it's just those air raid sirens again. Every time it's mentioned, it's like they're going off. I can hear them.
It's always a positive sign when TCR Guru bursts out laughing.
Oh yes,
at your suggestion that anyway. So yeah, Mikhail. Should we let? Do you want to do some of the top?
Shall I do it? So let me do it because I'm probably got a little bit easier time of
fewer
knowing who
people
these
will
people
be
are.
offended if you do it. I think.
I love it. Okay, yeah. Let's try not to offend anyone, Phil. Okay, so you have Mikhail Athkanar in
That's
the Cooper.
Tip of me tongue, it was.
In the Cooper TCR, and he's leading the series on 95 points. We've got double race winner Dusan Borkovic, who we've already discussed so far, in second place on 84 points. Sean Carvenet, who, as we said, secured victory in race 1 at Spa, is in third place on 56. And then we've got Daniel Narge, who's another Hyundai driver. He's driving for Norbert Michaelis's Mira team.
Is that how you pronounce his name? Narge? I've always been calling him Narge.
No, it's Narge.
Sorry, Daniel.
And I'm taking that from WTCR commentator Martin Haven. He's my book of reference when it comes to that Daniel Narge. That's it. He says it that way. I'm sticking with that because he's been doing this a lot longer than I have as well.
Yeah.
And then to complete the top 5, British driver Josh Fowles, as we said, triple TCR champion. He's on 50 points. His championship got a kick in the right direction after winning the second race at Zandvoort in the previous weekend's racing. So it sounds as though there's quite a gap there, but it is quite close in the middle of the table for the positions sort of behind Athkanar. And it's, again, like I say, Hungary for TCR cars is a pretty good circuit. There can be overtaking happening, as we saw earlier in the year with WTCR as well. So that's going to be one that's going to mix it up again. And obviously, again, if there's, as we've discussed, if there's going to be any balance of performance taking place as well. If that happens, should it be the case, then we'll obviously know nearer the time. But the guys have a bit of a break now until mid-July.
And Hungary in TCR Europe marks the midpoint of the season. Incredibly.
It does indeed. 7 rounds. Hungary is round number 4. And like I say, from there, it's moving to some interesting circuits after Hungary. I know they're off to Assen, they're off to Monza, and also to Barcelona, I believe, as well. What circuit is that?
It's
the normal Grand Prix circuit.
Oh, okay.
So which I'll be honest is not one you see sort of major sort of touring car series, I think, apart from the DTM, going and having a race on. So it'd be good to see TCR internationally on a new circuit for the Europe series at least. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting season. It's a close field, and like I say, that unfortunately balance of performance isn't going to go away. You're never going to keep everyone happy, but it would be good to see the field a little bit more closer than it has been.
Oh, Phil, so critical.
Yeah. Terrible.
But yeah, so TCR Europe is I suppose we're looking towards the anticipating the next round at Hungary, and of course we'd love to have you back to talk about what happened in Hungary, Phil, if we can indeed do that as our resident TCR guru, of course.
I'll see if I can fit it into my very busy schedule.
It really is very busy.
Yes.
Absolutely. So moving on swiftly, because we're fully conscious that that soon, if you carry on listening to us, you won't be fully conscious because we don't like to bore you and ramble on too much. But I think that happened about 50 minutes ago, to be honest.
Okay.
But anyway, so TCR Europe, we'll put a lid on that for 1 second, and we'll move over to WTCR, formerly the World Touring Car Championship. Always probably kind of is still, really. But you would know that already, because you're motorsport fans, that the TCR and the World Touring Car did a thing and they came together. And their next round is not this weekend, but it's next weekend at Villarreal in Portugal.
It is, yes, the iconic and legendary Villarreal street circuit that's been a part of what was the World Touring Car Championship for the past few years, and it's now for the next, to be the next challenge actually for the FIA World Touring Car Cup. It is very technical, very challenging. I think it's one of the ones that's a little bit more difficult to pass on, but it's possible. And for a street circuit of its nature, it has some very fast parts of the circuit as well. So it's one that's definitely going to push the limits for the guys that have been there before, as we know. I believe where I've read that there's at least, or up to, should I say, 11 drivers that haven't been there. So it's going to be a learning weekend next weekend for quite a few drivers on the field. And we've also had the 2 wildcard drivers confirmed. So for those that aren't normal followers of the FIA World Touring Car Cup this season, then it's what they've done is, because TCR has such a big presence around the world with the various series involved, it's been recognised that for each round of the series that 2 local drivers will be sourced as wildcards to be able to join the 25 entries already confirmed for the full season. So in this case, the 2 local drivers, we have Edgar Florindo. Now, Edgar's been a regular competitor in both TCR Iberico and also TCR Portugal as well, and he will be running with Veloso Motorsports in a Cupra TCR, what was formerly known as a Seat. The second driver is should be a little bit more well known to followers of TCR in general, and that's Jose Rodriguez. Now Jose is currently, he's actually competing this year in the TCR Italy series, which is a quick mention. This weekend has a 32-car entry.
TCR Italy?
Yes.
Oh.
To remind you of a series, 32 cars. Rings a bell. Anyway, so yes, Jose has been, he competed last year at Villarreal in the European Touring Car Cup, as it was then. This year he's competing for target competition in TCR Italy in a 2017 Honda. I haven't got confirmed details as to what car he's been taking part on, or he will be taking part in, at Villarreal, but target competition, if they are involved, have a lot of experience, as we said before, in TCR machinery. So Jose should be, with previous circuit knowledge, be able to sort of challenge the regular drivers and also put some local knowledge to the test as well. Just a quick note as well, it's also Thiago Montero's home round. Thiago is, as we're well aware, is out of action this year currently. He's hopeful we'll see him in competition, but he's out of action due to a very nasty crash last year that's had some very lasting effects on him. Yeah, he's going to each WTCR event, and he's helping out the Boots on Junior team with Tom Coronel and Benjamin Lassen, who is currently standing in for Montero. Villarreal means a lot to him to be able to be at the local circuit, so you can expect to see a lot of Montero fans there, and hopefully, you never know, but you might be able to sort of find out something. It could be possible. We could be hearing something about when he's whether he's planning to make a comeback or to hang up his helmet. We're not sure. But either way,
not. He's got. Mind you, I didn't even know he was still suffering from that.
He's still recovering. He tested a car earlier in the year at Monza, and whilst he was happy in the TCR machinery, which he'd driven before, he wasn't fully declared fit to go racing again. So recovery is still in progress, but he's going to every WTCR round and keeping an eye on all the action, so that should he be able to come back into full-time competition, he'll be fully prepared for what he's taking on.
That'll be certainly good to see. If not, he can maybe do some demonstration laps, maybe get his old F1 car out, or a few of these other cars that he's driven in the past. One thing that I've just noticed anyway, for visual radio viewers or listeners will notice, and I'd not noticed this before, is that one particular driver called Mr. Van Orange is racing in a brightly orange coloured racing car, and I found that absolutely spectacular, especially at the last round at Zandvoort in Holland.
Zandvoort. Yeah, so there's a bit of a story behind that one. As I was saying, WTCR this year is having local drivers as wildcards at each event. So you'll see that as the pictures scroll around, you should see two bright orange Audis, which were being run by Bas Koten Racing in Zandvoort. So they're the local team, the local Dutch team, and they were running the two wildcard entries for WTCR at Zandvoort. You had Michael Verhagen, who's a local driver, obviously, and you also had Prince Van Orange as well. His full name escapes me. I apologise for this. Again, like I say, lots of TCR series to follow, so names slip now and then. But he's also the owner of Zandvoort himself, so he was able to take advantage of the fact of competing on the track he owns in his home WTCR event, and he had quite an enjoyable time. Both of the cars, as you say, bright orange, you can't miss them, and I commented on that.
Oh, what other colour? What other colour is he? You're going to be racing in if your name's Van Orange?
Exactly. Well, even then, it's brilliant. So yes, it's. Like I say, you couldn't miss them the last time out in Zandvoort. The team that was running the two Audis, Bas Koten Racing, again, lots of experience in TCR racing with a variety of TCR cars, Cupras and Audis and the like, and they do lots of endurance and sprint events as well. So it was great to see them, and like I say, it's one thing I'm enjoying this year is seeing the different liveries of wildcard drivers against the regular drivers as well. It's brilliant to see the variety out there.
How's our Gordon Shedden getting on?
So, our man Flash didn't do too bad, actually. His season seems to be getting better and better as he's going along. For those not in the know, obviously Gordon Shedden moved across from British Touring Cars last year with Honda to joining Audi Sport and getting himself a berth with the Leopard Lukoil Audi Sport team this year in WTCR. Excuse me. And basically, he's had a bit of a difficult time. He's learning the Audi and the various quirks that come with that, and understanding TCR machinery. In Zandvoort last time out, he had a much better time. He was actually chasing for the win and hassling for podium positions. So it seems as though he's getting to grips with the Audi RS3 LMS TCR. He's learning from his fantastic teammate, one John Carvenet. I think we've mentioned him earlier, doing 2 series this year. So yeah, Flash is doing really well. And again, Villarreal, it's a circuit he's not been to, so it's going to be a learning process, as it will be at a lot of the circuits he's going to this year. But he's adapting really quickly. He's really competitive, and it's good to see that he's able to get up there with the guys that have the knowledge, have been there before, and to be able to fight with the rest. So yeah, he's doing really well. There aren't any race wins yet. I was hopeful at Zandvoort, that it was looking possible, and also at the Nürburgring, I think, was one he was looking good at, because again, the long nature of the circuit seemed to suit the saloon shape of the Audi. But yeah, Gordon's doing pretty well so far, and it's worth keeping an eye on him still.
Definitely, yeah. I think his best weekend so far of the championship coming out the last round in Zandvoort, in terms of points scored, anyway, and points picked up. But yeah, so championship standings then. Actually, before we get onto that, Phil, I want to ask you about a change to the calendar for the future. There's you tell us what's happened and what's swapped.
Okay, I'll tell you then. So at the same time as we've had the British Touring Car calendar confirmed this week, last week the FIA World Motorsports Council convened, and they confirmed that the Argentinian round of WTCR has been replaced with a round in Slovakia instead. This is due to the local,
and that's
promoters.
for this current season.
That's for this season. That's right. Yep. So it keeps the season at 30 races and 10 race weekends as we've had. But this case, whilst the Termas de Rio Hondas circuits in Argentina has normally been a great circuit for touring car racing. It's been really good to World Touring Cars in previous years. They've just not been able to put up on a good show, be able to have an event running. So they've informed the FIA of this, and the FIA instead have given the chance to the Slovakia ring, which again is a former circuit that World Touring Cars has been to, and it's also seen a lot of European Touring Car Cup as well. So that is a really good circuit. That, I'll be honest, it provides a challenge, lots of overtaking opportunities on it again, so it's going to be good to see the guys all turning up at a circuit. Some of them have raced before, some of them haven't, and it's been a couple of years since. The difference also is it means that the off season has been extended. So originally Argentina was supposed to take place in early August. That is now not the case, as the Slovakia ring rounds will take place in the middle of July. So once that's finished in the middle of July, and then just check the dates. So yes, the dates for Slovakia ring are July 13th, July 15th. And then the next rounds at the other end of the summer break will be at Ningbo in China at the end of September on the 28th to the 30th. So a really big summer break. Plenty of time for guys to recharge batteries, and also having a look at seeing what they could do to cars before they go on the long haul races and start making their way around to a certain Macau circuit in November.
Exactly. And so instead of the next round at Portugal being the last European round, as it was scheduled to be, now with the addition, or let's say the change from Argentina to Slovakia, that will now be the last European round, as you say, before they go off to over there in the Asias. Two races in China, Ningbo and Wuhan. Is that right?
Yes. So Wuhan is a street circuit that's been added to the calendar. Originally, when the calendar was released last year, there were only 9 race weekends. So there's 2 race weekends in China on the Wuhan street circuit. Then we're off to Suzuka for the Japanese around the penultimate race weekend. And then, of course, the one I'm always looking forward to in November is Macau, where TCR machinery has raced before. Some of the drivers have raced there already before as well. But to be honest, I'm really looking forward to, if it's feasible, 27 TCR cars flying into Mandarin at full pelt. You could see the carnage already.
You're not going to get more than one lap without a red flag or anything. You know that, don't you?
But it's great to see these cars as one of the headline events at Macau during the weekend. And
of course, some might say that in previous years, when the World Touring Car Championships didn't go to Macau, but the TCR International did.
Yep.
That was probably the catalyst for the merging of the two, because in my mind anyway,
I wouldn't say it is, but what it did do is it showcased the fact that there is alternative touring car series out there apart from WTCC at the time as it was, and they were able to put on a competitive performance, including a certain Mr. Rob Huff taking more wins on his favourite street circuit. And he absolutely trounced the opposition. So again, Macau in November with touring cars, motorcycles, GT cars, Formula 3 cars. I think anything you could possibly race at the circuit.
Stop it, Phil. Giving me a moment.
I'm feeling a little, wow.
Anyway, but Macau is just brilliantly unique in that it is a serious round of many championships and one-off super events. Like you say, you've got the bikes racing there, always stunning to watch that. You've got Formula 3 cars racing in the World Cup. You've got GTs as well. So basically,
that's all the support racing. So If you want to see TCR racing, proper street circuit, you want to get an idea of it, catch Villarreal this weekend to get an idea of what they're going to be like, and then 27 cars at Villarreal will give you a rough idea, maybe close, of what it's going to be like in November at Macau as well.
Exactly. So, Phil, that's. I think we can. I mean, I'll just tell you the championship as well, because I said I was going to do that just in case you do want to know and you haven't already been on the website to check it out yourself. But yeah, it's Jan Eerselacher.
Okay, so I'm going to help.
Sorry,
you
I'm really bad at pronouncing names. Go on, Phil. I'm so sorry.
It's Jan Eerselacher.
That's what I said, basically.
Yeah.
Jan, he's French. In the top spot in the championship in WTCR at the moment, followed by Yvan Muller, who's amazingly still racing at his grand old age, and second in the world standings at the moment. Fantastic for Muller. And then it's Al Rophoff, who's third. Jean-Carl Vernet, who is, as you said, Phil, doing a joint campaign. And in fifth place, it's Tarquini. And,
nice Murray Walker impression there, by the way.
And sixth place in the standings, it's Ted Bjork, current champion. And then Esteban Gutierrez in seventh place. Michaelis languishing down in eighth. And is there... Yeah, Shedden, I'm just having a look where he is a little further down. He's got it all to make up at the moment. The only way he's up for Flash is 13th at the moment. James Thompson, still in the World Touring Car, WTCR, I should say. 15th at the moment as well. Lots of action to come next week in the round of Portugal. Phil, thank you very much for talking about what's going to happen in WTCR, updating us to what happened in Spa in the TCR Europe series, and of course at Oulton Park in BTCC. And don't forget, kids, you're allowed to like more than one touring car championship. Yes. No one's going to shout at you. Maybe Facebook's will. But they shout at everybody.
Just ignore the air raid sirens when you hear them there.
I'm joking. But there's nothing wrong with liking, as I said. So, Phil, you do a lot of journalism, I hear, on the old grapevine of various websites. How can people actually keep up and follow you, and where do you publish your biggest articles?
No problem. Yes, the rumours are all true. You can find myself covering both World Rallycross and European Rallycross to begin with. We'll get those out the way at the Checkered Flag. And I also share a lot of my work from the Checkered Flag for Rallycross in the Facebook group known as the Spotters Tower or Rallycross Talk, run by my good self and a few others that enjoy Rallycross in various forms. When it comes to TCR, so you can find me on Twitter at Phil Kinch. You can find me on Twitter at Phil_Kinch, where I'm sharing all manner of TCR news from all the various TCR series I can find on Twitter and everywhere else that you can name off. You can also find, I have a second account which is at TCR_Guru, where I'm sharing again all the news that I follow with TCR Europe, with TCR UK, and as many of the other domestic series around the world that I can share news from. You can also find my page on Facebook, which is currently TCR Guru.
That's the official TCR UK.
That's the. Where's that shot gone as well? There's another one. Yes, that's where I'm sharing all the TCR news I can find, including TCR UK. And finally, there is the one of two Facebook groups that I run for TCR. The first one is the official TCR Talk Facebook group. So anything TCR based around the world, including TCR UK, because there seems to be a few people that sort of think I don't share it in there. There's just a lot happening around the world TCR wise. If you want to join that, by all means. And as I said before, we've got drivers, we've got team members, as well as fans and followers all conversing with each other, which is great. And then if you are a TCR UK fan, then there's also the TCR UK fan group, specifically for TCR UK series itself. Again, we have drivers, team members, fans, followers, many people that are all following the series in its first year, sharing lots of opinions, news, reaction as we go along. So yes, you can find me in any one of those places, unless I'm at work.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's like 50 places plus counting.
Yes.
Yeah,
I need clones. Really, I've got to figure out cloning, and then I can have an easier time, and they can go and do the work for me.
Exactly. Yeah, but plus you do this show as well.
Of course, yes. Lester lets me come on now and then to talk about rallycross and touring cars. We don't know why, but we enjoy it.
Yes. Well, it's good for me as well because Phil literally educates me about things that I've missed because I was elsewhere, for example. So thank you as well for coming on and doing this. We definitely want to be doing this more often, regularly.
Oh, yes,
I would say. Don't forget as well, you can download every Touring Car Talk show on Motorsport Radio as an audio podcast. Yes, because we do podcasts here as well, amongst the visual stuff that we do. And you can find that from the iTunes podcast store, Apple Podcast, I think that's the thing, or wherever you get your podcasting service from, or just our website, motorsport.radio. You can literally search for it, find it, download it, enjoy it, maybe take it with you on your way to a racetrack, perhaps, or maybe on the way to work, who knows. Exactly. But thank you very much, Phil Kinch, TCR Guru, amongst other things, for coming on the show, and thank you as well for tuning in to another Touring Car Talk on Motorsport Radio. My name is Lester. Thank you, and good night.
Cheers.
Cars, bikes, drivers, and riders. Hear them all here. This is Motorsport Radio.